Here we are on site with 2 days to go and a review of progress so far and general thoughts about what's happening. Over here at this end of the trench we're still going down into what may be Philip Corder's excavation trench or somebody else who's had a go trying to find Roman artefacts and understand the site perhaps. What is quite odd though is the amount of Roman material that's been thrown back in. Early antiquarians were only interested in whole vessels and nice pieces of pottery. It could be that this wasn't up to the standard of the time, although having said that, Corder himself was a very careful archaeologist. Really, I don't think they would have been so careless as to throw things back, so it's possible that this would be somebody else who's been in here. It clearly is quite late because it cuts through into the plough soil. It is, however, underneath the levelling layer that runs across the site. As far as Roman material goes, here the stones appear to be coming from a structure, and I think we're looking at the other side of our big courtyard building. Along here, and you can see some of them still in position, a lot of roof tile and a consistent run of iron nails running across the site. Here, for example, is part of a roof tile. We've also got material, a bit of ceramic roof tile here, suggesting that this at some time may have been some kind of levelled yard area. And we've just heard from Dr. Pete Wilson, who's been and visited the site, that over in the section over here, that this dark layer of material here may be a build-up of material, perhaps from continued industrial activity when the building had lost its former use, because it was clearly quite a grand structure. We've got material in there suggesting a high temperature activity. We've got a glassy type of slag, which looks to me as though it's from some burning activity left over from, who knows, not heavy metalworking, because there's no iron slag, and it's simply the reaction really of burnt sand, which does go glassy. So some kind of industrial activity and rubbish spread over here, perhaps when that building had fallen out of use. One key point that Dr. Wilson did point out as well was there does seem to be a levelling activity going on. We've got very, very little early Roman material here, which is strange given the number of robber trenches and things that have been cut through the site. We'd have expected what's called residual material. We've only got half a dozen sherds of Samian pottery, for example. Samian pottery arrives with the Romans in AD 43 or around then, and falls out of use, stops being imported in about AD 250. So Corder also reports that he seems to get layers of sand, almost sanitising previous activity. Moving along again, gravelly layers, and intriguingly we're beginning to get along here the next phase of activity just beginning to peep through under the rubble layers. You can see this most pointedly here. As you can see, although it's rather messy at the moment because I haven't cleaned it yet, we've got the butt end of something running underneath this fill layer. So our aim in the next 2 days is to try and go down in this box section really to look at the stratigraphy and try and see if we can understand how the layers are built up. Because we do know from Philip Corder's excavation just outside the trench that we've got 5'6" from here down to the natural sand. Today we've had fun and games over on this side of the trench. We've now almost finished lifting the wall of painted wall plaster. We've left one of the most intact pieces there, which we will try and lift tomorrow when the plaster has set. The York Archaeological Trust with Mags Felter came down to advise. She put some reversible resinous type material on, some kind of adhesive on the backing, but unfortunately it doesn't appear to have set hard enough to lift in any substantial block. It's clearly very fragmentary, and it has been suggested that maybe the roof was off the building already and it got heavily weathered, then slipped down. It may have been the ceiling, but it's probably more likely to have been from a wall. A local builder who lives in what was once the corner of the walled enclosure, has rough resident all his life and been very, very helpful, came along, saw what we were doing and suggested, why not try a technique suggested by the York Archaeological Trust and cover it with bandages and try and lift the best preserved piece intact. It may not be worthwhile because it appears that most of it is in fact a creamy colour with the occasional red stripe, but we can try. And just as a sense of humour, he's put 220 on the back. I myself started troweling this area, and what's rather intriguing is the amount of black sooty material there is underneath. So I'm hesitant to say what it is at the moment, but it is pretty likely, and also given what's appearing at the side of this trench, that there is something under the building creating some kind of burning activity. There is also in this trench what's called tubuli in the Latin, which are ceramic rectilinear tubes with holes in occasionally that go in the walls of Roman buildings to take hot air. We've got a substantial number of those now, although none in situ.